Oh, bollocks, let's start again. Hello, welcome. Oh, shit. Don't edit, this is it. Use your slick self. We're here to
I've
discuss
really
the
missed
week.
you, Ewan.
Oh, bollocks. We're here to discuss the week in technology. Lame week that it's been, apart from one vicious story, which we're going to talk about, I suppose, at some point. Joining me to discuss the week in tech, the fantastic bunch, starting up left, Jeff Gammett. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. And Ewan, it's great to see you. I feel like it's been
Well,
way too long.
I was here last week.
Yeah, I know, but it's just been way too long.
Ah, well, it's all right. Don't worry about it. No one misses me. I haven't had any emails of everyone go, "Oh, you, we missed you."
Oh, I missed you.
I just get stuff on a Monday. Where's the freaking show, arsehole? Oh, okay.
That's how some people express their love.
Yeah, okay. Next to him, Lee Garrett, last minute stand-in. Thank you very much for diving in and filling the seat, boy.
Absolutely not a problem. It's actually good for me to turn around now and say I no longer feel like a virgin. This is my second show, so
Yes.
I'm part of it. It's all good.
Break him in.
Cherry broken.
Indeed it was.
Next to him, it's Chilly Boy, Wrighty. How you doing, boy?
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. I'm away at the moment in Chelmsford.
Yes, you have. You've been away for a lot. When's the last time you went home?
I spent 3 nights in my own bed in the last month.
I know you've been absolutely. Wow. Since the bash has been mental, hasn't it?
It's been unbelievable. It's great, it's good. It's fantastic. But I've seen the kids for about 10 hours in a month.
That's the life of a freelancer, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they stopped saying "Where's Daddy" and "Who." Now it's "Who's Daddy."
Never a great thing.
It's that bad. But the thing is, as well, I'm going home tomorrow night, and then I've got my cousin's wedding. Not shooting. I'm not working. I've got my cousin's wedding on Saturday, and then I'm home on Sunday. And then Sharon's going away with the kids next week, so I've got the place to myself.
You're home alone.
Never mind. And last but by no means least, Streaky Boy with the booze.
Yeah, it's been one of those weeks, and I still have a couple of working days left, so I'm entitled tonight.
You're always entitled, mate. You enjoy. Don't worry about it.
Thank you much.
The week in tech. I'm guessing that someone brought the USB-C standard as their story.
What, the bad USB?
No, the new USB.
The new USB?
The one that's reversible.
Yeah, there was a new USB standard. I thought I was gobsmacked because I figured someone had brought this as a story. Allegedly, there's a new USB standard.
Yep.
I think USB-C 3.1 is what they're calling it, and it's a new reversible standard. And I've got to say, I've downloaded the specs document on this and started reading through it, and it all sounds fantastic. I mean, they're talking about 100 watts of power delivery through the USB system, and they're talking about 10 gigabits a second down it, which is fantastic. That's right up there with Lightning and beyond. But the thing that bothered me was they're talking about the change of the port slice. So actually what you've got now is this ability to put it in the device either way round. Well, that sounds absolutely fantastic for phones, pads, etc. What bothers me is the fact that two things. Firstly, this is going against a common standard for everyone that's changed all of their devices to follow the European Union directive to go for micro USB for charging as a preferred standard. They're trying to catch up to Apple, which I never think is a good thing because Apple aren't always that far ahead. And the other thing is, it's talking about changing all of the connectors on the end port devices. I've got no issue with that, but I can't find anywhere whether it says it changes the device port on the transmission device.
Yeah, because it looks very lightning cable, doesn't it? The new one.
Yeah, I mean but that's the end that goes in the device, like your phone or your tablet, which I'm okay with changing to this standard because that's progression. It's fine.
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is whether I get a new phone and the update cycle on the phones is kind of 2 years, I guess, a year, but I don't update laptops that frequently, and I don't want to suddenly find out, I'll go and buy a new Windows phone in a couple of years, and all of a sudden, because Microsoft have signed up to this deal and standard, I then can't put the other end of it into my current laptop to back up my data.
Yeah, but
and that's what I perceive is happening here. I may be wrong.
Yeah, but didn't we have this when with Thunderbolt and things like that with the Thunderbolt displays, where it all came with that tiny little kind of converter thing, isn't it? We're just going to have more bloody converters, aren't
Well,
we? You've got Thunderbolt display. It always, yeah.
But the one thing that's been consistent from USB 1, USB 2, USB 3 is the large spade device that goes into your powering and backup device. It's only the front end connector that's changed into the mobile device. And I'm a bit lost whether they're changing the front end device into the mobile device or whether they're changing the back end device as well as into the storage device. Because if they do that, they've lost me a bit here because I think that's a negative.
So what you're saying is obviously you've got that port for phones and tablets, but what we know as the kind of duckbill USB cable, the port it will change.
Well, I can't work out because I'm not intelligent enough, and I've only had 20 minutes looking. But I can't work out whether the spade end connector, the duckbill connector that goes into your computer, is going to be the same size, like it has always been from USB 1 to 3.
Okay. Well, I'm going to quickly put a link into the chat room because I'm looking at a rough mock-up of that particular connector, and yes, it's going to be a tiny bit smaller, the duckbill one. That's in the laptop.
My assumption was that they're changing the connector all the way around.
Oh.
That's what I'm seeing, yeah.
Which is a pain on one hand, but on the other hand, if they don't change it, we're still stuck with a non-reversible connector at some point in the mix, and so while we go through the transition of everyone not having the right connector on their computers, we'll have to use little adapters. And
yeah, see, I read that BBC story and I still couldn't work out whether it was both ends or not. Chris Campion in the chat room saying, I just hope that USB standard doesn't prove that Greeny's right and Lightning's doomed. But see, that's the thing is you go back to this whole standard and thinking about what they're trying to do with this, and they want this reversibility. Yeah, okay, I get that. Where does the brilliance in the reversibility of Lightning come? It comes from the fact that you've nearly always got that cord plugged into a device or a charger, and you climb into bed, and you don't want to have to frig around and put the light back on to see which way up it is. There's the benefit. That's the device end. It's not the charging end. And if you're saying the charging end is going to change so that it can be duplicated in both directions, based on the frequency of access to the charging device that you have over the access to the end device, I think that's a waste of time. And I think actually there's more disruption in changing the charge point device than there is. But I guess you've got to change it for the data speed. I don't know. I don't see how you want to change the form factor of the charge end. That's my point.
But with all the kind of talking about legacy and all that sort of thing, it's going to be absolutely crazy because people are keeping their laptops 4 or 5 years. You know, when are they thinking of actually implementing this? Because the USB is everywhere, isn't it?
That's what concerns me with this. I mean, has anyone got any more knowledge that I haven't got here?
It's kind of unclear just from the press release. I haven't really had time to dig into the actual tech specification yet. But to me, it seems like you should theoretically at least be able to watch together a Type A connector with a new Type C connector on the other end. Just from the way they worded things, I think. Can't swear on it, though.
Yeah, when I saw the front end and looked at the fact that it was reversible, I thought, yeah, this is great. This is a positive move. But when I thought about the reversibility of the charge end, that's when I kind of went, no, you've lost me there. I'm sorry. Don't agree with this change. But I mean, let's forget about the actualities because the actual truth has never bothered this show in the slightest, have it?
The truth just gets in the way, Ewen.
Yeah, exactly. Let's have a semantic discussion about the fact they do change the charge end, good or bad, positive or negative.
But the thing that gets me is when we had this with Apple and with the Thunderbolt port, it only affected Apple devices. Whereas when you look at the form factor of the USB one, you're talking about TVs, DVD, but it's not just your laptop, is it? There's so many different devices that it's going to affect. I just don't see how that's going to work.
Yeah, because it's TVs and things like that as well.
Exactly. It's not just a laptop, is it, or a PC? It's everywhere. USB is such a standard; it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, the biggest problem I see with this is that we didn't have a reversible connector from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Why in the world did they design a connector that that you will every single time put in upside down, have to turn over, realize it's still upside down, turn it over again, and now it works. It's ridiculous.
Well,
That's what we've always had.
Let's just go back to the history of connectors, and that's always been the case, though, because of the way that the data was spread across the point. So go back to LPT1. LPT1 was never a universal device. It was always an upside-down device. You go to HDMI, it's an upside down device. You go to D-sub connection, it's always an upside. You go to RJ45, it's a right way up, right way wrong device. Because you've got to hold
with USB.
You've got to hold against the contacts, haven't you? Sorry.
Sure, but USB was brand new. It was completely brand new when they rolled it out. It was the perfect opportunity to start from scratch and design a connector that was reversible.
Yeah, but I mean, USB 1 goes back to, I'm going to take a poke here and say 96?
Yeah, it was introduced on the very first iMac, the gumdrop iMac.
Yes.
So that would be 98,
if I'm not mistaken.
98, right? Okay. So that's a long way back, and you're in the thick of, because the DisplayPort connections for all of those were either VGA, or they were mini DisplayPort, or they were DVI, and all of those are oriented devices. They're all upside down devices. We've never had universal connectors like Lightning until Lightning came along. I'm trying desperately here to think of one device that was upside down. That wasn't upside down.
I can't
universal.
think of anything.
Yeah, so the history is one-sided device to hold against the press and connectors, because there was one connector, and that connector's job was earth. That connector's job was positive, negative, etc.
Sure. It just disappoints me that when they had the opportunity to figure out a way to design a connector that didn't have to be one specific way, totally brand new, fresh slate, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I understand that we had limitations going along with the way the pinouts needed to work, but it would have been so nice if they had thought about that with USB.
My only problem with USB is it actually fits perfectly into the Ethernet port, and we get so many calls at work. We go, I'm plugging my thumb drive in. Yeah, if you try, you plug a USB port into an Ethernet port. It actually fits.
How about that?
It actually does, doesn't it? It's mad.
It actually does, and we get so many calls going, my hard drive doesn't work, my thumb drive doesn't work, and you go and go, because you're plugging into the bloody Ethernet port, you idiot. But it actually fits perfectly. So actually, a change would be quite nice.
Oh, so it'll be smaller.
Yeah, and then it would be.
And then people will complain about their thumb drive falling out of their computer.
Exactly. That was my thought. Yeah, straight away. Bookery in the chat room says, I've been putting a coloured dot on one side of a USB connector for years. That's sod all use in the dark, dude. Jesus. Agree, Jim. I think both new and existing standards will need to be incorporated into PCs for at least the next 2 to 5 years. So that's Jufro, Jim, and Captain coming up with that. But I mean, Jim's then coming back and saying, yeah, that's going to be tough, though, finding the extra space on a tablet or a phone to accommodate that.
Well, that's always the battle. That's the battle of the tablets, isn't it? How many ports they've got, isn't it? They're always kind of posting SD and HDMI and all that sort of thing, and I suppose the first one that adopts that. But like Lee said earlier, Apple did it with the Lightning connector, and we were like a couple of years down the line, and we've all adapted, haven't we?
Well, yeah, but I think that's the significant difference between the charge end and the device end. If you're changing the device end, I got no issue with that, because I think that's a frequency issue. I think that's but you don't. The device that goes in your computer, that end is less in and out than the device end. You know what I mean? The charge end is less in and out than the device end when you're talking about desktop chargers and that kind of stuff. So
yeah. So what are the advantages then to the new, apart from the new connector? Are there any like kind of speed advantages, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking. This thing's going to carry 100 watts, it reckons, as a power. So you'll be talking about 5 amps, perhaps, in delivery to the device there, which is.
So you should be able to charge pretty much any computer device.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, so you're gonna be able to charge your laptop off it for a start, which would
that's a good point. Yeah.
But the problem is, if you're talking about coming out of your laptop, not over 100 watts back out the other end anyway.
Yeah.
Is it? So I think you're going to struggle to hit that 5 amp mark, and you're also talking about 10 gigabits a second because of the fact you've got the power along with the data connection, which 10 gigabits a second delivered. That's light peak levels, isn't it?
Yeah, it definitely is. But it's been around for so long, hasn't it? Now that factor of USB has been around for, like I say, so long now. It's probably about time it did change.
So let's change the question around. So we've been talking about whether it's the charging of the device thing that's changing, and if they're both changing, I'm less enamoured of it. But let's say actually we are changing USB entirely, but what you're going to have is a whole new range of abilities to connect to power and charge your laptop that's universal. No worrying about the ring and pin and whether the voltages are right and whether you've got it in or whether it's from another device, and no labelling your power bricks and that kind of stuff, because any USB power brick then is going to be able to deliver 5 amps charging for your laptop. Are you sold on it anymore now?
Yes, 100%, because
Absolutely.
I think we get the daily question in my office is, I forgot my charger. Every single day, I forgot my charger. And it's just kind of like, if you could just go, yeah, one of these, and give it to them.
Charge it to the desktop or laptop, yeah.
Yeah, and you could just go, here you go, there you go. Because we've got these bloody universal things, and I'm sure they're not safe and all that sort of thing. But if someone could just walk in and we've got a bank of these, and we go, yeah, you've got a charger. Can we go, what model have you got? Is it Toshiba? Is it Dell? And we're rooting around in boxes and all that sort of thing. If we can just go, no, it's a charger. There you go. Then that would make, for support,
it's black, about this big.
Yeah. Well, we get that. Yeah. What big is your computer? It's a PC. Yeah, it doesn't really help.
What make is your computer? Windows. Oh.
Yeah. But didn't there were some HP laptops, I think they're Chromebooks that were released last year, that they charged over micro USB, didn't they? But they got recalled very quickly, didn't they? They got
right, because they were crap.
Yeah, they were fire hazards. People died.
Yeah, I think that was the reason. So if it's safe and it works, then yeah, it'd be a fantastic thing, really.
Well, the difference.
Go ahead, Streak. Sorry.
The difference is that at least the new Type-C connector is really specified for high amps and can really transfer this power, and it also will scale with time, which is kind of cool. So if we update the USB spec even more to like USB 4.0, you can still use the Type-C connector.
Yeah, it's got expansibility with it. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is that I'm not sold on the charge end change size, but I am a bit more willing to go, well, that's okay, that's a lot better. If you're talking about talking larger devices that you're now able to power from it, lo and behold, maybe even up to a desktop or something.
That's what you need, isn't it?
So you're now carrying around one brick.
And it charges everything.
Now, the only question I'm going to have here is, typically as well, you've got your USB cable. I'm going to hold my little USB cable that I absolutely adore here. And I adore it because it's only 6 inches long. There we go. It's the only thing I've got that's 6 inches that I prefer to be that length. But you've got this thing here, and it's fantastic, but that's a thin little wire. You start shoving 5 amps down that, and all of a sudden that's red hot and melty.
Yeah.
How big's the cable going to be then to deliver this quantity of charge?
That's a very good question.
You're just going to have this rod. It's just going to be just solid, rigid rod that doesn't bend in the slightest. Otherwise, it's going to burst into flames.
Yeah, that's what they need to get sorted first, isn't it?
But hey, that'll be great if you get stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to tow your car out from like a ditch or something. Be pulled up by a tractor.
Just tie up your USB cable.
And you're pulled out by a USB cable. Yeah, just lash it round there, mate. It'll be fine. Yeah, it's got a four-tone braking strain, isn't it? Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry
It's
about
okay. It's USB 3.1 spec. It'll hold.
Is that yes? USB 3.1 comes with a safe working load as well as.
Ooh. We should really.
I'll take two.
Guys.
Excellent. Cappy in the chat room, Chromebook chargers were recalled because they were overheating and causing burns.
Oh,
Right. I was joking, but I was right apparently. There we go.
Blimey.
Yeah. Apparently Google Plus keeps lagging. That's not my fault, Jackie.
That's
Sorry.
Google's fault.
Yeah. What story did you bring, Jeff? What did you bring, mate? Let's get yours out of the way because otherwise we get to the end and there's 45 minutes just on your story.
All right, my story is not related to sex toys at all today.
Oh,
what a shocker!
Well, that's a break from tradition.
I know, but I found this piece over at International Business Times about the Black Hat DevCon, and that the most secure Android phone ever was hacked in only a matter of minutes, which I found to be very interesting. It's the Black phone, and the company that makes Black phone has been promoting this as the most secure smartphone you can get. And hackers were able to gain root access to the device in like 5 minutes.
yeah, because they're really promoting that as being the kind of the privacy phone, aren't they?
They are. And so what I found really interesting about this, beyond the whole thing, I'm dropping a link to this in the chat room. There we go. What I found to be really interesting about this, beyond the fact that they were able to gain root so quickly, is the fact that this company was so sure that their phone was that secure that they're making really big claims about it, which then leads to
I mean, they're saying
consumers.
NSA proof here.
Yeah, and definitely not NSA proof. But then you have consumers looking at this phone thinking, oh, I can get this, and now I'll know that all of my communications are secure. And no, that's not the case. And yeah, so we have this phone where people are not getting out of it what they think they're getting based on the advertising. And it also shows another thing that most people aren't aware of, which is that these people that are hacking devices like this at conferences for contests, they're not just sitting down and starting cold, and 5 minutes later they've gained access. This was probably months of research to figure out what hacks they could take advantage of, so that when the time came, it was only a 5-minute process. And a lot of people don't realize that there are people out there that are spending ungodly number of hours just trying to figure out how to break into every single device. So if you're hoping that your smartphone is just magically secure, you need to rethink your privacy and security strategies.
But is any smartphone secure when you're linking to? What does the Black phone do when you're linking to Google or Facebook or anything like that? What is it doing different to any other smartphone to make you more secure?
Well, from my understanding, the big thing about Black phone was that it was supposed to remain secure even if it fell into someone else's hands, because I mean,
that's the big thing, isn't it? If you've got a device in your hand, you can't.
Yeah, security is just
the endpoint. Yeah.
I think it's because the encryption for the Black phone, from what I can remember of it, is actually there at the consumer level. It's there on the device. So rather than there being any kind of cloud encryption or anything like that through VPN, etc., it's all there on the device. But the thing that gets me is, why did they advertise it as the most secure, the most fantastic smartphone in that aspect? Did they not just put the world's most massive bullseye on that phone and say, right, come and get me?
Yep, that's exactly what they did.
It's ridiculous. You know, that's the world's worst marketing tactic, I think, for a smartphone, because it's just going to get done, isn't it? It really is.
I mean, the thing is, this thing is not just on the hardware getting in the hands of stuff. They are saying as well that there is absolutely anonymous, perfectly private communication, secure internet connections, online security that cannot be breached by anyone. This thing is supposed to be NSA proof online, as well as, and I'm not sure how it's dealing with routing through the existing internet without having an output where they can be watched or hacked by echelon type systems. If you're talking about the fact they're providing their own darknet, this thing, and that's where the connections are routed, then okay, I might believe it, but that seems an awful lot something that's just a phone.
That feels like something that they shouldn't be able to fund, because if I remember correctly, they didn't start up with that much money to build this thing.
Well, this is two companies that have got together. I've just had the names. It's Geek Phone and Silent Circle are the ones that have created this personal data protection in the forefront. The BlackBerry gave a good old kick in saying it's unacceptable for enterprise, and they wish they'd bit back at. But
that must have felt good for them to be able to say that, to be fair, because they haven't been able to say very much over the last year, have they?
Oh, God.
Yeah, BlackBerry kind of has to take it as it can get it right now.
Yeah.
BlackBerry, isn't that the real estate company in Canada?
Yeah, I think the BlackBerry stuff. I mean, if you're a general punter, your ability to hack into BlackBerry's communications is zero. But I mean, if you're a government like the NSA, then the problem is you're not hacking into the device or the communication. You're hacking into the end output, the analog output, if you like, which is the internet. Once you suddenly have to have a universal communication system, that universal communication system key then becomes available. So you can do all you like up to the end point of sticking it in the net, getting it out across the web.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, even if you buy a phone that claims to be private, is there any way we could ever be private? There is no way, is there? If we're going to use products and services, especially the free ones like Google and Facebook, there's no way in the world, is there, to be private?
No, really, the only way to keep your information private from the internet is to never do anything that uses even remotely related services.
Yeah.
Stay offline. That's the only way.
Yeah, you have to stay offline.
What was that crappy TV series they had over here where this bloke said he never had anything online, he never went online, he never owned a computer, because anyone would find him if they did, and someone entered his name and took a picture of him or something like that and put it on Facebook. Here I am with my mate Wally or whatever, and he was found within 30 minutes. I can't remember what the series was, but it was shit anyway. So, yes.
That sounds like an interesting social experiment, if nothing else.
I watched it at Steve Neighbour's house one night, and I was just kind of.
Is there something new? Okay, interesting.
I didn't watch episode 2.
So was it like a reality show?
No. It was a drama on Channel 4, Utopia, I think it was.
Okay, so I was thinking if it was a reality show and you're on television, you've kind of screwed the whole point of being anonymous right there.
Yeah. No, it was a drama. Okay. Street, did you bring a story, dude?
My story was pretty much the USB story there. I didn't really have much time, sadly, this week to find anything else. Okay. Nothing else that really popped out anyway.
I know Wrighty hasn't got anything. So Lee,
I'm a consummate professional. Last week you said I'm a consummate professional, and then he goes,
mate. I love you to bits.
And then he goes, "Oh, you got nothing."
Well, you were the one saying, "Oh, great, I'm going to host in a week with no tech stories."
No, I just meant there's no tech story. Anyway, carry on. Sorry, I apologise.
Lee, if you didn't bring anything, you're also forgiven. Don't worry about it.
No, that's absolutely fine. No, I did pick one up, actually, and it's something I think that's come up today, and it's to do with Uber. Now, I think, by and large, we're good fans of Uber. Well, I am, personally. I like the idea that we've got a free market out there and there's some competition for services, etc. But in Berlin, they have voted to ban Uber today on safety grounds, because they're saying that it's unsafe and they cannot do enough to be able to protect their passengers. Now, I believe that they also had the same ruling in Hamburg, but that was lifted on appeal. But I thought it would be worth a discussion, because is it going to set a precedent now for the rest of Europe and, well, the world, because it's a worldwide service, isn't it? Is it not going to be this new big thing that we thought and hoped it was going to be?
Okay, not being European, I don't know how the cab systems work in EU countries, but based on saying, oh well, Uber can't guarantee the security of their passengers, does that mean other cab drivers have like guns or bulletproof glass or some way of protecting their passengers?
Exactly right. I don't understand. It's almost as if it's saying, right, on the one side we can't guarantee the passenger's safety, and that's got to be set against something. So it's setting it against the fact that they can guarantee it with other taxi drivers. Well, that's not the case either, is it? At all. You're absolutely spot on, Jeff, in my opinion.
Can we
I
just
think taxi drivers around the world are going to be laughing at this particular decision, and all the protests and appeals that they've had. Well, this is going to start to back them up, isn't it? I'm thinking, and I don't think that's the way that we should be going.
Well, can I ask a question of you, Jeff, as the only American here? In America, are Uber drivers licensed, or are they just registered with the company? And I think there's a big difference between that.
They're, as far as I know, they are just registered.
Yeah, I think that's where we're talking about the difference here, because if you're talking about the UK, you cannot run a private hire service, which is our normal style car driving, hire car, taxi things, without being licensed. You still have to be licensed as a private hire vehicle. And if you're a black cab or a hackney carriage, then you have to be licensed as a hackney carriage in order to achieve that level. So I think the key problem that they've got with Uber is you can't be a private hire vehicle without a license. And if you've got a license for private hire, you can't pick up on the street without pre-arrangement. Only a hackney carriage can do that.
Yes.
And that's where the Uber issue is coming, because people are picking up on the street based on an application rather than a phone call to a taxi service, which I think is a bit stupid, because my taxi service in Birmingham, TC Cars, you guys all used it in for the bash. They've got an automated answering system.
They have.
So you ring up and they say, "Oh right, you come here regularly. Do you want to be picked up from wherever, your home address, a place you normally go, etc." And then you say yay or no. So when I go to the train station in the morning, it defaults to that. But for some reason, it knows. I guess it's based on time. It knows that if I'm calling after 7 p.m., I'm probably asking for a train back from the car back from the train station, which I find really impressive.
That's actually
but
clever.
I'm not talking to a person. I'm not talking to the person at all. I'm still talking.
That's some clever programming right there.
I think it gathers data about me. It can't be that hard. I'm not exactly in a taxi every 5 minutes to completely different locations. It picks me up at the house in the morning. It picks me up from the station in the evening.
Is that the cab company we all use for the bash?
TC, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Just interestingly, when me and Jim got the taxi back from B36 to the train station, the chap says to me, he goes, "Which way do you want to go?" I was like, "I have no bloody idea." But yeah, he asked us which way we want to go.
Was that his nice way of saying, "I don't know where to get where you want to be"?
I think it was. Yeah, I was like, that way. But yeah, no, he did say, "Which way do you want to go?" And I was like, "Oh, not sure."
I want to go the way that costs the least.
Yeah,
That's the way I want to go.
Sorry to point another one at you, Jeff. Is it right that there's another couple of taxi services similar to Uber that have actually come online now in America as well? It's actually been able to spawn a couple of other rivals. Is that correct?
Yeah. Lyft, L-Y-F-T.
That's it, Lyft. That's the one.
That's the big one. And that's actually caused a little bit of controversy on the Uber side, because apparently Uber drivers, or Uber as a company, I'm not sure which, started calling for Lyft rides, and they called in like 5,000 bogus ride requests to screw up Lyft, and and so this is just coming out in the past few days, and it looks really bad for Uber, and rightly so, because that's just a really crappy thing to do.
It's not nice, is it? That's not fair competition. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was a Supercharged podcast, and there was they had an interview with one of the Lyft drivers, and they've got this like unique gimmick, haven't they? Where they all have to have a funny moustache or a funny something that they wear to identify themselves as Lyft.
God.
Yeah, I think it's actually on their cars.
On their
They
cars,
have,
yeah.
like on the front grille, it's like a big pink mustache. Or
Ah, that's why
That's
you
it.
always have this mustache on the grill of the car.
I
Yeah,
get it.
and all this time you thought it was because American cars had bad hygiene habits and just didn't shave regularly.
But it's just impressive they were pink.
I learn something new every time I'm on the show.
Because didn't we have protests in London recently? Was that based on Uber?
Yes, it was. Yeah, and so it was. I think your black cab drivers were. They went down in front of popular government buildings
Like mini
and
cab.
just stopped traffic.
Yeah.
Which
was that?
See, that sounds kind of funny to me because from what I understand, the traffic is always stopped anyhow. Why would anyone notice anything different?
Very good.
Street, you're knocking those back like a frigging alcoholic. It must have been a bad week.
It's had a bad day.
I work in tech support, that's all I'm going to say about that.
You're here with a bit of stubble and your hair's flopped forward, not usually its spiky self, and you're snocking me. Have you got a shopping trolley that's full of your worldly possessions besides you?
That would be kind of cool in a way, but sadly no, it's just empty space.
It's just BTN.
Yeah, I think Berlin's issue, and I think the UK's issue most definitely with Uber, is this idea of separation of licensing and registration. And I think that's the key with seeing it in San Francisco in operation. It's a great service, and it kind of balances itself based on the review system. So if you start getting shitty reviews as a driver, no one gets you anymore. And if you start getting crappy reviews as a customer, you're not going to get a driver to come and pick you up. So there's a two-way thing there that seems kind of unique and actually very good. But the thing that I thought instantly was are these guys registered or are they licensed? And I definitely got the impression they were only registered with Uber. There's no licensing.
Yeah, I think that there might be certain cities that have ordinances or laws that require a form of licensing, but those are just very specific areas. Everywhere else, they're just registered.
Nice.
Yeah, interesting. I think if Uber doesn't survive in some cities anyway, it's not a big problem because what they've managed to do is shake up the taxi market. And the taxi market, yes, is protected for the safety of, you do not want to be a single female climbing into what looks like an ordinary car with someone going, yeah, love, I'm a licensed private hire vehicle. You want to make a phone call, you want to get a text that comes back and says you're getting into a white VW, whatever. And you want to know there's some security there. And Uber's kind of doing that, kind of not doing that. And the UK industry for taxis, I think, unfortunately, with Hackney carriages, there's a bit of a closed shop in that, and it's very difficult for other people to try and break in with a different type of service. And if you're in an open economy, at certain points, says, look, if you're that good, you'll survive anyway.
Yeah, I reckon we just need to suck it up for a few years because it's all going to be driverless soon anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll be in flying cars, Lee.
Absolutely.
They're never going to be
It's important to dream.
It's 2015 next year. I'm still waiting for that flying DeLorean.
Absolutely.
Never going to be. The old Back to the Future thing, you cut out their streak, but that's what I'm guessing.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, absolutely. Good story. Wrighty, what have you got for us, mate?
Well, I've made no kind of thing of it in the past. I'm a big fan of the Chromebook, and my question is, who is buying the Chromebook? Because people are buying it. It's expected that the sales of Chromebook are going to leap, sell 79% in the next year, which is huge. And but the thing is that 52% of that. 52 million devices are going to US schools, and is the Chromebook actually a viable device now? Because it's cheap, it works. They reckon within 2017, 14.4 million Chromebooks will be sold. And is the Chromebook actually a device that people who move from XP or Windows 7 or that sort of thing, they're not moving to tablets because they're not kind of sure. But is the Chromebook actually a viable tablet? A viable computer nowadays. Has it come of age?
Well, actually, you've asked a question there that I was going to ask you, because you're saying you're a big fan of it, and I want to know, because I'm looking at this Argus has got a Samsung Chromebook here with 16 gig of RAM and a 2 gig 2 gig of RAM and a 16 gig hard drive.
Yeah.
Maybe that's wrong. And it's 200 quid.
Mhm.
Yeah, but like in America, a year ago, 2,000 schools in America had it, as a device. But obviously, in the last year, it's risen to 5,000 schools have got it. And obviously, where Apple have tried to kind of penetrate with the iPad, a lot of people are kind of moving to the Chromebook because it offers so much. Because all you got to do is log in, and all your work's there. It's all in the cloud. You haven't got to sit there and wipe devices. They're constantly updated and all that sort of thing. I think we're actually at a point where, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago when it was announced, we thought, well, what a joke. No internet connection, the Chromebook's a bit of a joke. But now we've got kind of connectivity everywhere, and I think it's actually a viable computer, finally. And I think if education gets onto it, then actually I'm thinking kids are going to grow up with Chromebooks as being their primary device.
I think you could almost take the view that Chromebooks were made for education, because obviously being in the same sort of game as you, Wrighty, and sort of an education sort of support person, the fact that you don't have to image these devices, they just work when they're coming. It's just they are fantastic in an education environment. Would I want to have one myself at home? No, probably not. I don't think.
But then you're probably doing more high-end things on your computer. But
it's a use case thing, isn't it? I mean, who would you personally target those Chromebooks at? If you're saying, yep, they're fantastic, they're wonderful, but who would you be targeting them at if you had to sell one to someone?
For the people who are just doing Facebook, email, Twitter, all that sort of thing, things you do in the browser. But then I've got Chrome on my iPad, my Mac, my iPhone, and everything I do syncs across everything, and I can just go in there, my passwords, it knows all the things I've done, and the last thing I did. It's a really clever system, It's almost this kind of thing with continuity thing on iOS and Mac. Kind of Chrome's always had it because it always kind of remembers what you do. And, the thing that makes me laugh is it was kind of a joke, this computer that will only work if it has an internet connection. We've all got an internet connection now. Wi-Fi is so prevalent and all that sort of thing. I think it's actually a viable operating system. I've got it in. My dad gave me 2 netbooks, and he's kind of like, they run an XP, and obviously he's kind of like, well, XP is not safe anymore. I've installed Chrome OS on both of them, and he's been running it for a couple of months. And he's like, yeah, absolutely fine, because I do everything in the browser. And a lot of people who just do the general day-to-day computer stuff do it in the browser. And I think that's the way the world is going. There are those of us who kind of do the more high-end kind of things. But for the general populace, they are doing it in the browser, online. And those cloud services do exactly what they want.
That makes me sad. I think the browser experience in place of actual apps is pretty dismal. I've had horrible luck with that, and I just can't imagine wanting to use a web browser as my app interface for everything that I do.
Yeah, I can understand that completely. I think for us 5, that would definitely be the case. If I was to offer a Chromebook to my mum, she'd absolutely love it. And there is a use case there for people like my dear sweet mother who would absolutely love to have a Chromebook and have that browser experience, because that's all that she actually needs, like Wrighty says.
So how do you deal with something like Skype? Because that's a great way for families to keep in touch, and particularly the older generations like my mum, she loves having Skype so that she can talk to friends and family.
Well, it's Hangouts, isn't it? You just move to Hangouts. It's just another thing. You've got Skype, you've got FaceTime, you've got Hangouts.
I don't want to go to my mum. It's taken me 3 years
to
teach my mother how to use frigging Skype without her going, it just did it. Where's the? I can't. No, it's not on.
Yeah, that's not an optimum scenario for moving to Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I mean, my mum doesn't want to do it. Skype. She wants to call my auntie in Australia on Skype because she's got her address. She doesn't have to tell my mum to figure out a URL or tell my mum to figure out who to invite to a hangout. Holy shit, no, we're not even discussing that. Not having it. My brain is, I work away from home a lot. I can see me getting phone calls. How do I do this? Do what?
So
without Skype, she can work it by herself. Now, just leave it alone.
Is she on a
Hello,
Mac?
and welcome to Ewen's tech support.
So I assume your mum's on a Mac.
Yeah, she's on a Mac. I'm on a Mac.
Yeah, but like we're not talking about the people who, because people say to me like, what would I do without someone like you? Because we know tech and we can support them. But for the people who don't have that support, having something that just works all of the time and the updates being done for them and all that sort of thing, it is a viable operating system. I'm not talking about us, because we do need something a bit more powerful. But the fact that they're claiming that Chromebook sales could leap by 79% this year alone is saying that people are going into I don't know, PC World, damn PC World. But they're going in, they're going, what do you want to do? I want to go on Facebook, I want to do Twitter, I want to do my email. A Chromebook is perfectly good for probably 95% of the population. And I think, where it was a joke a long time ago, it is actually a viable solution for a lot of people, because it's almost a tablet in a laptop, in a way.
All right, I have a question. This stat about sales going up like 75%, where is that coming from?
That's Gartner. The Gartner predicts that the sales in Chromebooks will triple to 14.4 million by 2017. So that's the stat that they say. I don't know where they're getting those stats from, but obviously that may be obviously the point of this is the education.
They get their numbers from a place where the sun never shines.
Yeah, that's actually right. I'm assuming the companies that are coming up with these statistics about growth and market share. There have been reports that have come out recently showing that these companies are actually just making up the numbers because it fits models that they have and that they need to perpetuate. Now, and I'm not trying to shoot down your story. No. It's just I do question the growth numbers for anything now. And the market share numbers that these research companies are tossing out, I question those as well. And for actual market share, I'm now looking more at what companies are saying in their quarterly earnings reports, and trying to ferret out the numbers from that myself.
But do we think, as an operating system, that it has grown? It does.
Oh, certainly.
It does more than it promised in the first days, and it can serve a hell of a lot of the market.
Yeah, just like any
can. Sure. Yeah, I think the Chromebook is going to be popular in the education market, because schools can buy a lot for comparatively very little money, and then they can manage everything through Google's own services, and it's not like they have to worry about, are we getting the right updates pushed out, and I think for IT departments that have to support these things at the education levels, like elementary school, junior high, high school stuff, Chromebook is probably a very enticing option.
I would assume the same there, actually. The only worry I have in relation to kids and a laptop form factor is the mechanical wear and tear, something that the tablet computer doesn't have. But in comparison, the tablet computer is more susceptible to cracked screen. Then you can't really do so horribly much with it. From that angle, I think they're pretty much on equal footing, I would say. But I have to agree with you. The system, the software, it has moved forward leaps and bounds, and it's way better, way better than it was just 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, but it is what a lot of people, it's the one thing that a lot of people just need. They just need a browser, because if they've got a Mac or they've got a Windows PC or Windows 8 or whatever, they probably will spend a lot of time just in the browser.
Yeah,
So for a lot of
the
people,
browser is the main place for a lot of people.
and that is where a lot of things. That is where a lot of things are moving. Yeah, like I say, for us, maybe we do need more, but for a lot of people, I think the growth will be just having that connectivity and just actually moving to things in the cloud and just doing things online.
Great point here from Jimmy saying, if you've got kids that are educated on a Chromebook and using on a Chromebook, are they going to be any good in a corporate environment on Windows when they then get themselves a job? And that's a pretty important point.
Well,
That is a good point.
Well, I raise a point at work that actually we have a lot of. I say to a lot of people, if you go to the library where I work, a lot of people use some Macs, and a lot of people when they actually start work at a place like mine, which is Enterprise, many of them may have never used Windows. You know, because the way the kids are being brought up with these new operating systems, their first computer may be an iPad or a Mac or whatever. They may never experience Windows until they get into the working world. So, you know, Windows is not actually the be-all and end-all because, you know, we've got Windows 8, which is pretty much, you know, been said to be a failure. They may have never even used Windows. They may have been Mac from the start or iOS from the start. There are so many different operating systems out there, or Chromebook or whatever. Windows may not be the be-all and end-all of everything anymore.
It's true. Do you reckon that the Chromebook missed its window with the Windows 8 sort of debacle, and the fact that everybody was so, you know, reticent to using Windows 8 because of the problems, you know, the new start menu interface, etc. Should Google not have just had this massive push on the Chromebook sense and done some of this sort of negative advertising about Windows and say, look, you don't have to use that, we've got this, and really gone for it? Is that window not gone now that 8.1's, you know, an improvement?
I hate that negative advertising thing, and they're doing it this week with bloody.
Oh, the wall huggers is happening again, isn't it?
Yeah, they're dissing like Surface versus Mac. I hate that kind of dissing kind of thing. The problem with the Chromebook is that they kind of said it's online or nothing, you know, and it's doing a lot of offline stuff now as well. You know, it was kind of released too early. I think that's my theory on it, and it could have easily, you know, a year later where they got this offline stuff, could have been a lot better. And it's kind of like, you know, they go, oh, Windows 8 was rubbish. Windows 8.1 is better. The latest version of Chrome OS is better. You know, it was released too early, but if people are picking it up too late, then that's one of those things. But it's a decent operating system. You know, I live in Chrome. You know, I've got Chrome open on all my computers now, and everything syncs across, and it's lovely. You know, I will do that kind of high-end thing. I'll use something else, but I live in Chrome, and I think a lot of people will just do that.
Yeah, it's very realistic. It's one of the big main alternatives. It'll be like Google and Chrome, it'll be Apple and their stuff, and then I think actually Microsoft will tie something together in the end and have their little ecosystem as well, and we'll basically have to choose one of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. I'd be interested to see where it goes, definitely, in terms of the education environment. I think it's absolutely dovetailed for, but it's a lot. 79% is a huge increase.
It is. Help me out, Ewen. Which camera manufacturer was it? Which kind of camera manufacturer was it that didn't add, or it was Hasselblad who made an ad and they?
Oh, it was Mamiya.
Ah, right.
I think it was Mamiya.
And then they stopped running the ad, and the other guys paid the newspaper to keep running it.
Yeah, Hasselblad made the advert, and they were slagging off the Mamiyas and saying that Hasselblad was better. And when Hasselblad stopped running the advert, Mamiya rang up the paper and asked them if they could keep running the advert, and they'd pay for it.
Yep.
Because their sales went through the roof. Yeah.
Never do negative advertisement. It's bad for you.
I think I'm going to check that, but I think it was Mamiya. But there we go. It's a true story, though. It's a true story. Just the names have been changed to protect the brainless. This podcast and all the others is brought to you by UK2. Righty, time for the logo, mate. There he is. UK2, they're absolutely fantastic. We love them to bits. They've got a whole pile of offer codes for you to use. Go to bridgetown.network/sponsors and click on the link and get all your web stuff, all your shiz from UK2.net, because every time you buy from them using our link, even if you just sign into your own account by using our link, you make us stay on the air, because they give us free server with unlimited storage space and unlimited bandwidth to make sure that we can keep bringing these podcasts. The only problem we've got is we don't sit and do them enough. We wouldn't have had a big show if it hadn't been for Wrighty the last few weeks. Don't leave it up to this useless prat. Me. That's it. We're back in the studio next week, though, I promise. We're definitely back in the studio. I've got no work booked for next Thursday, and someone's bound to book it, but there you go. I'm in the studio. We'll do a normal environment next week. But check out UK2 because they're absolutely fantastic. They support us, and that's all we get from them is ongoing support. And I was talking to Robert from the Network Union. He said, UK2 are obviously pretty happy with what you guys give them, aren't they? And I said, yep. When we speak to them, they say they are extremely happy with the relationship. You guys are clearly buying loads of service from them. And the other people are the Network Union. Old Robert down there, or up there in Norwich, dealing with people who've got business broadband or have got big WANs or big WANs and MPLS and all that kind of stuff. That's what Robert does. The Network Union is all about supporting you if you've got that large system that they can support you with, or if you know someone who's got that large system. If you're an IT bod and you're in a company doing consultancy at the moment, then tell them about the Network Union. If they're existing customers with BT, nothing's going to change on the front end. They haven't got to start getting new approved suppliers and all that kind of stuff because they still keep their contract with BT. What changes is that the Network Union slip themselves in as an extra layer of support for you. So they'll help you with your WAN system, make sure it's functioning. They'll act as a go-between between you and BT and make sure you're getting what you pay for and that everything's performing the way that it should. And even if you're just an SME and you're doing business broadband, still give them a call because Robert and the team down there can really help you out. And if you're an American, don't worry, because Massagey are run out of Dallas. They're agents for Massagey as well. So if you've got a Massagey account and you want to deal with all of your WAN and your MPLS stuff through that, get them involved and they will come and make sure that you're getting everything that you're supposed to. So check out Network Union. Give them your email address. They'll give you a contact back. And they only keep your email address for the purposes of contacting you about that one inquiry. They aren't going to keep it on selling your email address on to anyone else. We have that undertaking from them, absolutely, and we believe them. They also support the Patreon giveaway. So if you support this podcast, then give us a Patreon donation. It's wonderful. Thank you very much. We do 4 big shows-ish a month. If you give us $1 a month, that's saying thanks for the show. Here's 25 cents per show. It's great. And as I said last time on the show, if everybody who listened to just this show, forget about the Mac show, just this show, gave us $1 a month, we could afford to do this professionally. That's how simple it is. Everybody give $1. We can do this professionally, and it's simple. So thanks to anyone who's already on the Patreon list. We're going to start giveaways. At the end of August, there will be a giveaway for Patreon that will be pretty special, I promise. I promise. Well worth having. Got a couple of months, you see, rolled over. It's like a rollover in the lottery. Yeah, there we go. Have I frozen?
No, you still go, mate.
Okay, right. Okay, there we go. But I've had trouble with Google Plus. It just freezes for no apparent reason. I don't know why. Not Google Plus, Google Chrome. Right, have we got a cool thing? Jeff Array, give us a cool thing.
Of course I have a cool thing. And this one's only going to set you back $20.
Ooh.
Yeah. This, hold on, I have show and tell stuff. This is one of the brand new Lego Idea kits that came out.
Ooh.
I saw your tweet about building this.
Yes, this is one part of it. This is the Research Institute kit, and so it's 3 little sets. This one is the chemist, and let's see. Okay, next one is the astronomer with telescope and star charts, and then the last one is paleontologist, and it comes with a dinosaur, another scientist with a magnifying glass that's really a magnifying glass, and also a little accessory. Here we go. It's a little telescope and a little bone for the researcher to look at under the or microscope for the researcher to use. And so the whole kit is $20, and each of the minifigures is a woman as opposed to a man. And I thought that was just a really cool thing, because it's just a nice subtle reminder for people that anyone can be a scientist or a journalist or whatever it is. It doesn't have to be a gender specific thing. And it's a fun little kit, and it was a very fun build, and I liked it so much. Actually, I was certain I would like it so much. When I bought the kit, I bought two, so that I'd have one for me and then one to give to my niece that's really into the whole Lego thing, and that will be her Christmas present.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Now, the problem with this kit is that it's incredibly popular. So when you go to the Lego site, there's a possibility that you'll see it back-ordered, but from what I understand, they're working hard to get more kits together so they can start shipping them out again soon.
Excellent. Excellent. We love Lego stuff. That's really cool.
I do love my Lego stuff.
Cool. Mr. Garrett, do you have a cool thing?
I do indeed. It's not a recent pick though, unfortunately. It's I think it's about 2 years old, this particular model, but it's something that I have bought this week, so it's very relevant to me. It's the Fujitsu ScanSnap S1100 scanner. I've recently started converting all of my Office documents to a paperless infrastructure, so I use DevonThink Pro Office on my Mac, and all I've got to do is pop in my ScanSnap, put all of my bank statements and invoices, etc. through, and they are searchable within minutes. It's absolutely fantastic. I couldn't live now without it. I don't know how I did. So I have no paper in my office. It's about £130 now at the moment, the S1100. It's the smallest of the three models because I'm still fairly tight with money. I'm not making that much. I think Wheatley's got the S1500, which is the sort of like more enterprise level, which is about £350. But the reason I've got the S1100 is because I don't have my own full office at home. As you can see, I'm in my front room here, which is very nice. I've kicked the kids out and my wife out for the evening. And yeah, I need something that's mobile, and the S1100 is a very mobile scanner. So,
it's fantastic. I've got that, and it's.
Oh, you've got the 1100 as well. It's awesome, isn't it?
I mean, it's like a cigar tube.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Super.
That's what she said.
Oh, it's one of those really small scanners. You just like feed the paper through it, and it scans all the way.
Yeah. Feed it through, hit a button, puts it straight in a PDF. You can then sit and go, right, okay, add to the PDF, add. You put the entire document through as one sheet at a time.
There we are. We have one. Just here.
That's the one.
So small.
That's the one.
Brilliant.
Right, good pick, mate. Good pick. Wrighty, what have you got for us?
Well, I've got a thing called Ulu. Don't know if you've heard about it. It's a little app on iPhone and Android. We all try to use Siri and Google Now, and obviously we try to get results from it. But the different thing about Ulu is you can ask it a question. The difference is a person answers the question.
Mm-hmm.
So you can sit here, I can go, I don't know, 3, 2, 1. Why is Jeff Gamet so sexy? And I can do it, and it'll post that, and a person at the other end will actually send you a reply. So instead of actually a machine answering the question, apparently they're sent as a man 24/7. And me and Jim sat there at lunchtime today at the pub trying to send real rude things to them. I won't go into what they were, but you can actually get a real response from a real person. So if you're asking a question, you can actually get a real response. So it's free on Android and OS. That's Ulu. That's OOLOOO.
Excellent, mate.
How long does it take for that response to come through? Sorry.
When I first got it, I think they're in their early days. I asked what time is it, and it took them 48 hours to tell me it was 9:30 at the time that I asked for it. But we did it today at lunchtime in the pub, and they came back with about 5 minutes. But you can ask them anything, and it literally is a person at the end. You get the name of the person who actually who answers as well. I think Carol answers today. But if you want a human answer to your Siri or your Google Now, then Ulu is a really good alternative.
I'm really looking forward to hearing what the answer is to the question you just asked. I'm assuming there'll be some level of disappointment.
I will tweet you as soon as I get it.
Awesome.
Excellent. Street, what have you got for us, mate?
Well, I kind of got two things. The first is somewhat obvious, my somewhat new microphone, the Blue Yeti. It's been on the market for quite a while, but I must say, for someone who's an absolute audio noob like myself, this is a breeze to set up. Plug in a USB cable, that's it. It's on your system. You just need to adjust the settings a little bit, that's it.
Excellent. That's the Nessie is excellent as well, and the Yeti is good. Steve Neighbour uses the Yeti, and we use it for. I've used it for a voiceover at his house when I was staying there, and it's perfectly good quality. Don't let anyone tell you US makes don't have enough quality for voiceovers, because they bloody do.
This is so good, just for someone like me. Just want to get good quality audio, no hassle in hooking it up. Perfect.
Excellent.
The other little thing I had, just a very short one, it's Crimson Land, which is a game. $7 if you go to goodoldgames.com. Just spotted it today. If you like shooting monsters with 30 different brilliantly huge weapons, this is for you. Go get it.
Excellent. Jolly good. Good pick. My cool thing is Hank's Writer. It's HANX Writer, and it's actually a typewriter that's been developed by, I guess paid for, not developed by, but paid for by Tom Hanks. Now, a lot of you may not know that Tom Hanks is actually a collector of typewriters, and I did know this before this came out this morning. He collects typewriters because he did an interview for someone a little while ago, and they sent him a typewriter, an old vintage typewriter.
Yeah.
Writer and this, and he started typing on it, and he said, I don't do interviews, but then again, this is rather a nice type. Oh, I do like this. Yeah, okay, I'll do an interview. He did an interview with them in return for the typewriter that they sent him, and he's developed this thing to try and make it feel like an old school typewriter. And there's a bit at the start where he prefaces it and says, I just type, and I don't worry about syntax, I don't worry about spelling, I don't worry about grammar or any of that. I just type because I love the idea of just getting things out on paper. And actually, it's really, really good. One of the things that I was really pissed off at to start, and I thought, no, actually, that's kind of cool, is if you want to do backspace, you have to do it one at a time. You can't press it and hold it, and it does all of them constantly. You have to do each individual one. But what is so cool is the noise. And
Ooh.
And someone said, well, what it'd be nice if you could just do carriage return. Carriage return, there you go. But now the interesting thing is, I mean, I do reasonably well on the typewriter on the iPad anyway, but actually I type way faster and way more accurate on this.
Really?
I sat and played with it this morning, and I'm like, that's really cool. I love this typewriter. And I'm exactly accurate, exactly correct, and I type way faster on this than I do on the standard keyboard. I love it. I don't know whether... all I've done is play with typing and sat and typed a whole string of utter crap. I don't know whether you can send it anywhere or you cut and paste it or whether it links to apps and I think it does. And the thing is as well, is that there's in-app purchases with it. It's free. It's absolutely zero cost. But there's in-app purchases where you can buy new types of special typewriters that are super gorgeous and lovely. The Hanks 707, the Hanks Golden Touch are all classic typewriters. But I've got to say, Mr. Hanks, you picked the wrong frigging basic one. because the basic one's just fine. I don't want to buy anything else. I just like having that typewriter. I love it. I absolutely adore it. But I've never used it for anything yet. I've just like typing on it. It's great.
That's amazing.
If
you can export that to other things, that's brilliant.
Yeah, there's ways of getting it out. I've just clicked on the curvy line thing, like you've just done it. But, am I just two fingers? No, I'm not, mate. I'm not a touch typist, but I type with all four and a thumb on the space bar.
Love it.
I gave Ellis some aspirations the other week. He came in and he said, "Dad," and I said, "Yeah," and I carried on typing while I turned and looked at him, and he's like, "Oh, how do you do that?" I said, "It's practice, mate," and I carried on typing. And what he doesn't realise is that actually what I was typing was just bollocks. But
that doesn't matter. You were magic.
No, I wasn't. But you've got to be. Dad's got to be a hero. For that split second, I was like a hero.
Yeah.
It does actually say that you can export to email, Google Drive, Evernote, and Dropbox, which is pretty good. Only as PDF. Only as PDF.
Yeah. See, so Garrett does his due diligence, makes me look like an arse. You'll never come.
No. If you've got something like PDF Pen Pro or something like that, then you can edit it, etc. No, that still work for me, without a doubt. I do a lot of typing on my iPad, so that is something.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry, you're back in the Patreon drawer. It's fine. I saw your comment. Yeah, I saw your comment.
I thought that one had gone by.
Yeah, no. The all-seeing eye, mate. Yeah, hey, watch out.
Take for Rangan.
Talking to the all-seeing eye, where can we get a hold of you, Mr. Gammett?
Oh, you can find me over at macobserver.com, and you can find me on Twitter. I'm Jay Gambit over there. You can find me here on this podcast, on Apple Context Machine, TMO Daily Observations, which is the new show I started for Mac Observer just recently, the iOS show, and don't forget Fresh Brewed Tales, where I talk about all of the stupid stuff I see people do when I go to coffee shops.
Excellent, mate. Talking to the big brown eye, Mr. Garrett, where are you?
You can get me on www.soliumsays.com, and you can get me on the Twitter at soliumsays.
And I, where are you, Wrighty?
Paul is on Twitter, mate, and always at BritishNetwork.com.
And talking to the sleepy eye, where are you, Streak?
You can, as always, find me on streakmachine.com, where you can also find my little book, $5. It's a little helpful guide to a better, more sane digital life.
And me at the Lazy Eye. I'm Ewen Rankin. You can catch me on @EwenRankin on Twitter. We'll be back in the studio next week. I promise there will be a proper show. We'll be doing the Mac show as well. We will be catching up. I'll be posting all the stuff that Wrighty's done, but the problem I've got at the moment is he said, "Oh, I can't get the file size low enough," and I'm pissed around no end, and I can't get the file size low enough. I'm working video.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
We've been using words that are too big, right?
There's some shiz going on with files from Google Plus. We're going to sort it, don't we? We'll post them to Google. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.